Nerds International proudly presents
You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast.
Listen to the Wild Die Podcast. Listen to the Wild Die Podcast. Listen to the Wild Die Podcast. Listen to the Wild Die Podcast.
Hello, children, and welcome to the Wild Eye Podcast, episode 87. My name is Eric Lamoureux, aka No Sleeves McGee, and here are my co-hosts. He went on a 6-month hiatus to become a better internet troll. Welcome back, Harrison Hunt.
Thank you for having me back. I think I've only become worse, actually, but I'm trying. I'm trying every day to become the troll I always knew I was.
I'm proud of you. And
Thanks,
also, everybody's favorite pervy uncle got so drunk in Harrison's game at Con on the Cob that he ate a foot-long hot dog in 3 bites. Ooh, I'm hot right now. That was so sexy. And all his character did during the game was lob a donut at an armed gangster. The one and only Gary McCallum.
Oh, yeah. How do you like that action? Donut in the face.
I actually forgot about that donut thing. But you're okay. He talked a lot, but then he didn't really do much. And I was like, Gary, what are you doing? He's like, I'm okay here, man. And there's like a big fight going on, and he's just eating a donut.
Me and Eric were hanging outside the kebab shop, just having a chat, watching all the chaos go on inside.
In that game, we were basically the British Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of
What I
fun.
loved was before we continue with the show, there was one thing I really loved was when Terry Hansen, one of our listeners, he was playing the game, and then he said his character started to say something, and he said it in like a really American accent, and then I said, no, do it in a British accent, and then he started just saying it again, but slightly higher pitched. It was just still an American accent.
Yeah, I think there was like an Australian accent in there. There was a South African accent, and then that's
Not a single English one. Yeah.
We were pretty bad. But yeah, today on the menu, we're going to take it to the edge with some world building, something I've been meaning to do for a while. Talked about it before, and we're going to get into that. And it's different from what you would expect, but I think it's going to be fun. But first, it's just been so much going on the past 2 weeks that figure we'd talk about it. First, I would just like to mention, thank everybody for all the feedback and ideas concerning the Traps episode. That was 2 episodes back. Lots of good stuff from people, but I don't think we're going to rehash that. You'll understand why in a little bit. Second of all, I think it was during that episode, or maybe the previous one, I'm not sure, but in the new segment, I talked about the Deadlands, the reboot, and the Confederate Army, and I screwed up. It wasn't very accurate, so I'll put a link in the show note for the official announcement on that, so you can read it yourself, because who do you think I am? I mean, a journalist? No.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Welcome to the Wild Eye Podcast, your official source for all things Savage Worlds.
Hey,
Right?
and also, I recently reviewed Frozen Skies. I just wanted to apologize big time because I said that it would be really good if they had airplane creation rules in there. Turns out it does. The thing is, everyone that gave feedback on the review, mostly negative, thanks very much for sending that in. I didn't want to actually upset anybody, so I just want to say, if you want to purchase Frozen Skies, the PDF is $5 on Drive-Thru-RPG. So read it, play it like I did, unlike the people that were giving feedback. But anyway, do that, and then maybe you can see if you like it. Good.
How many positive reviews did we get from that episode? And how many of the negative reviews do you think was just Stephen Hughes using an alternate email address and name?
100%, because what he did, his main mistake was that all the Facebook profiles, the fake ones, had a picture of him, the profile picture. Rookie mistake.
Let's not lie again. But no, folks, I understand why you might be upset. It's never, believe it or not, it's never fun to give a bad review. But it's just one man's opinion on the topic, a man that took the time to read it and play it. Like you said, unlike some of the bad reviews we've received. So, yeah. It's $5. Read it yourself, play it. Let us know what you think. Like Harrison said in that episode, you can even write to us. Maybe we'll invite you on the show so you can review it on the show. Or if not, write a blog about it. And let's pimp out Stephen Hughes' stuff, Frozen Skies, and get him, propulse him to the stardom that he deserves.
Hell yeah!
All right.
All right. Now for a bit of sad news.
Yeah, sad news. So, well, we got Harrison back, but we lost one of ours.
That's the sad news. We got Harrison back.
Well, Paris stepped down from the show. I won't get into all of it because it's just drama and we don't want any of that. But following the episode on traps, there's a series of events that led to Paris wanting to speak his mind about a certain topic. And to do that, he thought it was unfair to drag us into it. So he stepped down so he could speak his mind, and that he did, which I think is very noble. I'm going to miss Paris' contribution to the show. He brought an angle that nobody else was able to. But hopefully now it's going to be time to have more fun with this show. Go back to having fun with Harrison and being even more offensive.
Well, I have made a pact with you guys, and I know that it was wrong to do it, and I'm going to stop doing it. But I'm going to stop saying the word on the show. That's the last time you're ever going to hear it.
Wow!
I should do 5 more right now, but I'm not going to.
That's bold, dude. That's very bold.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you. I'm a really good guy. I don't know if you know this.
We haven't noticed.
What happened to your Gatorade, Gary?
I don't know. Disappeared, just like my burrito did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming a tradition. When I leave early in the morning, I see something delicious in the fridge. Just going. But I am very sorry, Gary. I'm sorry I stole your Gatorade.
He steals my stuff while I'm asleep. Is what happens.
That was your first mistake, man. You went asleep.
Right.
Gator. I needed it, man. I can't explain to you how hungover I was that morning.
Well, I could imagine.
4 o'clock in the effing morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least you didn't steal my virginity.
Well, that's what you think.
Wow.
So yeah, what these guys are talking about is Con on the Cob. So 2 weeks ago we were over there in Ohio playing some games, drinking, eating, acting like a bunch of 15-year-olds. And
It was so stupid.
and we had a lot of fun.
Can I tell this story? I know it's not really much to do with the Wild Die podcast, but can I tell this story about the basketball game?
Yeah, sure. I think people will get a kick out of that.
So there was this basketball arcade game, right, where loads of basketballs would fall down and you had to chuck them into the hoop and they'd keep coming and flowing like a river and you had to sink as many as you could in a minute, right? What happens is I start and I got a score of 27. I thought that was amazing. Nobody's ever going to beat it. And I was so confident. I turned around and I said to the guys, whoever beats my score gets to punch me in the balls. And Gary goes up and he's like doing 2 at a time, absolutely like sinking them one after the other. And then his score's going up and up and up and it beats me and he gets to 43. Ridiculous number. How did he even do it? And then he turns around and I feel so scared. I see his giant wrecking ball fist near my crotchal region and I know I'm going to die. Anyway, long story short, over the course of the evening, I managed to negotiate him down instead of a full-on punch of the balls to a flick of the nuts, but it had to be the bare nuts. What happened?
And even that, it took a couple hours for you to muster up enough courage to go through that, right?
And then I didn't allow Eric to see this happen because I knew that he would film it. So I actually, one of our listeners came into the room, Terry, really great guy, and he's first time we've ever met, and he saw Gary flick my nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You went into Eric's room. You pulled your underwear aside, and your little heart-shaped almond nuts popped out, and then it was go time.
But you choked, Gary.
He choked. He screwed it up at the last second.
I feel like I know how much it hurts when that happens, and I feel like I withheld a little bit. But practice makes perfect. That machine will be there next year.
But yeah, it was fun. But now we're back to the games. Of course we played a couple Savage Worlds games. We played Genesis games. But for me, one cool thing are the dice bags. One of a couple that we play with since last year, and she made dice bags for us, which were awesome. Mine was like dollar signs on the inside lining, and slot machines, and all casino stuff on the outside. Because of course, Wiseguys, gorgeous bag. What about you guys' bag?
They gave me, and this was the coolest thing ever, an Aliens versus Rednecks one. It's like, like a plaid shirt pattern. And then it's got like little alien heads on the outside, and inside it's got like beer fabric on the lining. It's super cool. Well happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Mine's pirate themed, nautical themed on the outside, and the inside of the bag actually has skulls. It's like it's just like a repeating skull fabric. That's very cool. I actually came home and I put all my dice in it, and it's actually sitting right here at my desk. Because check how full my bag is of all my dice. Yeah. How cool is that, eh?
Yeah, that was super nice of her. I think she's going to start selling them as well, and I've seen that she's doing like rolled up style dice bags as well, and they look really cool. So to look out for Jen Judd or Jennifer Judd.
Yeah, if she ever sets up a store, we're gonna have a link so you can buy her stuff. She's really good. So thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen. So I wanted to mention something as well with the because I played in a couple of games by this nobody called Eric Lamoureux. And they were actually very good. But we played Wiseguys and Beasts and Barbarians. But there was a little technique you had in there, a little special Benny. Eric, tell us about that, because this might be good for the listeners to know.
Yeah, it was inspired by the conviction rule in the book, which is basically a kind of a Benny that can give you plus D6 on any roll. But I made it that it can be used as a Benny as well. But it was themed after the game. So, for instance, in Wiseguys, it was a severed finger that, but it was a group Benny. I gave it to the whole group, but only one person at a time could use it. But if you wanted to use it, you had to incorporate its use with the role play. So, like in you guys' game, you didn't use it all that much.
But I remember one cool use of it. There was a guy who, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said we were trying to convince this Colombian guy that we would do good security for him, for his gang, and they're coming into town and stuff. And then somebody said, look, we look what happened to the last guy that messed with us, or something like this, and he got the finger out. So it was a great use of it.
Yeah, it was basically, I started the game with them trying to convince that they could do good security. So it's a bit like an interlude, but I figured people would have maybe a bit of difficulty with inspiration right off the bat. So that's why I provided that story. I basically told them, hey, last week you guys caught a cheater in your casino. And you ended up with his finger. So what happened? And also you can use that story as an example to show, how good you are at security. In the second group that I ran that game for, one of the women, she used a finger to torture someone. She ran the finger across the guy's cheek and his face as she was asking question to him, which was really cool. And then, at the end of the game, someone gets to keep the finger. I did that for the second group because obviously I only had one finger. But the Beasts and Barbarians game, it was a fish because in the first scene they were fighting aboard a ship at sea. So it was basically a blessed fish that jumped out of the ocean. Someone caught it and they could use it, you have to get the extra D6 and narrate around it. And at the end, it was Corey that won the fish because of his amazing role playing that game.
Yeah, he was awesome.
So, I mean, just an idea for you guys at home, if you're running a one shot or even just in your regular group, just find a simple prop. It doesn't have to be some really elaborate or expensive, but just having the players touch it, interact with it. I think it brought something cool to the game. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. And the way that, because after it got used, you had to pass it to another player as well. Mm-hmm. And it was cool kind of, because as the players, then you get to decide either who you think is doing a good job or something like this. And it's really fun. Or you think, oh, that guy's going to use that really well or something like this. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very, very interesting mechanic. I also like the fact that you had, because we were kind of like pirates in the Beasts and Barbarians one. And there was like, stormy seas and waves and ocean coming over onto the deck. And Eric had this spray bottle and he sprayed people in the face with it.
Yeah, I started with spraying myself, role playing an NPC, and then I figured that on a club, a wave would hit someone, so then they would have to role play their turn while I sprayed them with the spray bottle that was filled with my urine. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was just water.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. People laughed quite a bit. At that
yeah, it was funny.
I thought it'd be hit or miss. It was either going to be people look at me like this guy needs locked up, or that people would laugh and turn out that people laughed. So,
well, there was that fantastic picture of you spraying yourself in the face, and it does look like you're a type of person that belongs in a padded cell. Yum.
And yeah, Gary didn't run anything again, 3 years in a row.
Wow.
Didn't run anything.
Wow.
So lame. But Harrison ran Tough Guys, and that's the game that we were talking about on top of the show. Gary was drunk as a skunk. He was totally out of it. He went straight to bed after that game. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was it's just a flavor. It was a lot of flavor to it. And people got into it. It was violent. It was a violent game. I think it got even more violent in the other session that you ran with that other group. Yeah. Someone beating someone else with like a torn limb and stuff like that.
Well, it was pretty funny because this guy that played in my game, he was playing the football hooligan, and they all climb onto the top of Woolworths. They had to break into this other gang's warehouse. They climbed onto the top of a shop called Woolworths. Was standing on the top scoping the place out, and then the guy looks at his sheet and he realizes it says I'm what do you call it, like where you act without thinking, like I can't remember what it's called, but like hasty or whatever, right? And he impulsive, that's it. So he leaps off of the shop roof and tries to belly flop a guy down below and break his spine. He fails, but the guy's so tough that I rolled the damage and he gets up, he's fine, he's not even shaken from the fall. And then he clotheslines a guy's head off, picks up that body and beats another guy to death with it.
Wow.
Because when he killed the first guy with a fighting attack, I said to him, right, narrate the kill. And he goes, I clothesline his head off. And I'm like, all right, fine. I guess that's where we're at now.
It's part of the, right? So how exactly do you clothesline somebody's head off? This could be a problem when you give players narration. You just have to pray that they're going to be on board. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, I thought it was funny anyway, but yeah, it was a fun adventure and a lot of fun to run. I especially like seeing Americans try and play English people. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because clotheslining someone's head off is not really realistic. But here's the thing, especially in the second time I ran Wiseguys, that group basically took over the players. They took over the game. In a sense, it makes my job really easy because they just talked the whole time. They took care of everything. They knew the rules, Savage Worlds rules. So, let the story go wherever it goes. It's just a con game. It's a one shot. As long as people are having fun, and when people take over a game, that means they're having fun. It's when you have to pry everything out of them all the time, and that's when you can tell people aren't having fun. So basically, all I had to do is give the spotlight to the most quiet people at the table, because there's always two or three. I had big tables, like 6, 7, 6 at a time. There's always a couple that aren't into it as much, or they don't like to impose themselves much. So you give spotlight to these people, and the other people, they just take care of their own spotlight, basically.
Yeah, your game sounded amazing. I mean, there was a point where I was trying to narrate something, and everyone at your table was going, "Hey, hey!"
yeah. There was like 3 Savage Rules game in that room at the same time, and my table was definitely the loudest, and that kind of annoyed your table. And then you turn around and you said, "Hey, keep it down there," and then, or I think you said a bad swear word or something, and everybody
the F word, yes,
or the C word.
The worst one was in the first Tough Guys game, when we were so loud that when the game stopped, it was like this deadly silence, and you looked over at another table and they just roll and go, yeah, all done, yeah. And all of us were like, "Ah!" Corey Judd, and he's a fantastic player, but he rolls intimidation for something, and he just says, and I'm not going to say the words, but he just says, "Right, I'm going to see you in the sea, you little sea. I'm going to see you right up." And he's properly shouting it. His wife was like got her hand on his arm, just like, "All right, calm down, shut up."
Yeah, and everybody in that room was kind of like, you guys are too loud or too offensive. But that's what it's about, having a good time.
Exactly.
So yeah, I haven't played anything since. I'm gonna run a game for Halloween for you guys at Cursed, but you Harrison, you've been playing some Deadlands, right?
Oh yeah, I love me some Deadlands. This is the first time I've really properly played it. I ran 3 sessions before, but I'm doing Deadlands, but Dark Tower, and it's essentially just, instead of using the Deadlands setting, I'm using everything from the book except that. And Dark Tower is a Stephen King series of books, like a multiverse type story, but the where it's set is a place I can't ever remember the name of the world, but it's like Midworld, Endworld, and Inworld are like the places. And it's essentially a Western type area, but it's got technology, it's got magic, it's got post-apocalypse, fantasy. It's like all genres mashed into one. And Deadlands works like a charm for it. I mean, they've done had to go to an old school that's then in, for some reason, a oddly modern looking like post-apocalyptic area, and they had to retrieve a VHS, and the school was flooded with Wendigos. And we just had one where they had to ride on a sentient suicidal train called Blaine the Mono. But yeah, it works really well. I've upswaded it as well, and I'm having an absolutely amazing time with it. So if you want to play Deadlands and run Dark Tower in it, it's absolutely perfect because it's got everything that Dark Tower has. So yeah, awesome, really awesome. Nearly coming to an end though, sadly.
Sounds cool.
It was great.
All right, what about you, Gary? It's all ICRPG, right?
Yep, for the next little while anyways. I haven't run anything Savage Worlds in a bit because I've been trying to campaign it out. If you're interested in seeing what I do, you can check out the Murder Hobo Show on Twitch. Every second week, I'm going to be streaming it. You'll be able to see the Tabletop Simulator in action, some of the maps that I make and stuff like that, and that's basically what I've been doing. Yeah, lots of fun. And by the way, you guys suck. I hate you. Just saying. How dare you insult me for not running any games? You know full well I got sick, you jerks. Why are you so mean to me?
It was weird how you got sick, though, after a night of really heavy drinking.
Oh, no. I was sick for like a week. I got the flu. And then I came home and everybody in my house has it.
I know, man. I'm only mucking around. But it was just funny because the moment you realized you were sick was the night where we all got piss-ass drunk. And then you wake up the next morning and go, oh, man, I think I'm sick. And I'm like, I thought you were just hungover.
No.
You genuinely were.
I woke
Really
up with.
bit in the
Yeah, I had streamers hanging from my nose that were touching my pillow, like somebody, like boogers were trying to bungee cord out of my nose.
Lovely.
Nice. All right, let's move on to a little bit of news.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the news. The news is incoming. Prepare yourself for the news. News! And some announcements about the Nerds International Network and the Wild Die podcast.
So, the longest running show, Savage World show, the Savage World's GM podcast, has come to an end. Yeah, the guys put a nail in the coffin. If you want to find out why, I guess it's on their Patreon, but basically guys have gotten busy with Dead End, and there's other personal and professional issues there, conflicts where, show can't go on. So, I know how much work it takes to to run a show for that long. They've been running for about 5 years at least, every week, basically, for 5 years. So, a lot of people are going to be bummed about this. And thanks for all that you've done for the community, guys. And good luck with your other projects.
You know that message on their Patreon? Do you have to pay to be able to read it? Because that would be a shrewd move from them.
No, you don't.
Oh, missed the trick there.
Yeah. All right.
Looks like somebody's going to be a celebrity guest at Genghis Con. Who's that, Eric?
I'm pretty excited about this. So, yeah, I mean, I mentioned before I'll be on the Savage Cruise, and I'll be kind of a special guest there too, I guess. But with Genghis Con, it's a bit different. It's the organizers that reached out to me and are taking good care of me. I'm going over there running 4 games over that long weekend. I'm going to meet a lot of the local designers over there, some people that I've only known online. So, I'm so honored by this. That's awesome, to be a special guest. Because Harrison was a special guest for Con Cobb, but not me. But now Genghis Con for me, so it works out.
Well, the thing is, my special guesthood at Con and the Cobb, I slowly realized as it went on that they meant special in a very different way, but it's fine.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I did wonder when I turned up, there was like, I got one of those rooms with the red cord in it. You know what I mean? It was just a bit weird.
Normally, you're just a special guest, but in this case, you're actually a special guest, man, which is cool. Congratulations, man. Your fame and your fortune, your hard work, the years of the Wild Eye podcast is starting to pay off, buddy. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll be I'll be representing the Wild Eye podcast, of course, but just insert imagination, especially. Going to be running a bunch of Wiseguys over there. Going to have some swag for people. So come meet me. Come play some games.
When is
it's going to be awesome.
When is the convention?
That's mid-February. I think it's right around Valentine's Day that weekend, actually. So my wife was a bit bummed out about that, but I'm like, I can't turn that down.
Right.
They're inviting me.
Well, that makes one of us, because that's the reason I turned it down when they offered it to me.
Yeah. Sure.
Gary was going to do a 2-hour presentation just playing around with Tabletop Simulator in front of everyone.
Right. Hey, guys, check out this whatchamacallit.
So yeah, it's going to be a rough winter there with the cruise, and then 2 weeks later is Genghis Con, but I will rise to the occasion and run some awesome games.
Wow, sounds like
you gotta meet me for one of them. It's 2 conventions. Although we're talking about ChupacabraCon in Austin, Texas, also going
when the weather picks up. Hell yeah, that might be the plan for next year. 2 of them back to back, dude. You're going to be gamed out for the year. That's going to be it for you.
I know. All right. Speaking of Wiseguys, it's out. Wiseguys, A Savage Guide to Organized Crime. That's out on Drive-Thru RPG. We're waiting on the proofs to release the print-on-demand version, but the PDF is out. We're also on savage.us now, so the character creation, you can can create Wiseguys characters on there, which is awesome. The Player's Companion is out, which is the first 4 chapters of the full book, just so you can make characters, and it comes with a site license, so you can print it out for all your players around the table. We got more stuff coming out. Reviews have been pretty good so far.
You haven't heard mine.
Bracing for the bad ones. Yeah, for the ones from Gary, of course. If he ever reads it, because he probably won't.
I'm busy.
He doesn't read.
I'm too busy for your junk. Well, you got to do this to me. Put me on the spot like that. Liberty 1776 came out, so that was one of the stretch goals or something like that, because I noticed that was out.
Well, that was a crossover. Yeah, it's Bootleggers. It's a crossover from Legion of Liberty and Wiseguys. But Wiseguys came out basically the same day as Legion of Liberty, which is another Savage Worlds setting, superheroes in the, with our forefathers. So
nice.
You can get an adventure for both of them at the same time.
When's Tough Guys going to be done there, Harrison?
Well, I'm making good progress, man. I think we're nearly nearly done here.
Nearly.
Yeah, the writing is almost done, and then there's a few more steps after that. But hopefully by the end of the year, it should be out. At this rate, shouldn't be an issue.
Hell yeah!
Cool. So now that you finished Wiseguys, what are you writing next?
Porno.
Gartar.
Yeah, man.
Official Gartar.
Nice.
No, right now I'm just gonna take it easy, play some games. I haven't had a chance to play a lot of games the past year. Just hang out with you guys, watch some movies, play some games, and do some research on a possible next setting. But we'll see. I'm just gonna focus on the Wild Eye right now and having fun. Worked so hard for like a year now, so.
You've made the Savage Guide to Organized Crime. So here's a good hook for the sequel. The Savage Guide to Disorganized Crime. Just a bunch of people with knives going mental on each other. That's it. You can have that one for free. That's fine.
Moving on.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. So, yeah, let's take it to the edge, shall we?
No.
Take it to the edge.
All right, so world building, and this is going to be different. Usually when we say world building, it's the GM that come play in my campaign setting. It's my world, and then nobody cares. Nobody knows what's going on. They just play D&D because it's basically D&D, but the elves are different, or I don't know. Lame, but yeah. No, it's going to be different because we're going to use something called a Spark in Fate Core. It's a collaborative world building toolkit, which means that everybody, even the players, get to get their say into the world building as much as the GM, if not more in some cases. So why would you do something like that? Well, first of all, so Adventure Edition is out, but there's only maybe half a dozen settings for it yet. So you see a lot of people on social media asking when there's going to be a conversion for their favorite setting, insert favorite setting, or are they going to get updated and all that. And, I could just tell people it's not a big deal, really. You can still use it to play Adventure Edition, but I understand that some people aren't as, knowledgeable about Savage Worlds, that they don't feel comfortable doing that, and that's fine. So we have some for you guys. Second thing, like I mentioned just before, the players buy-in. So last year we played in a homebrew from one of our GM, Uncle Jay. It was like Vietnam with superheroes. And at first I struggled with it because you need to create a character for it. And if you don't really know what it's about, it can be daunting. So granted, Uncle Jay wrote a primer for us, which was really helpful. But like I said, I think once you see what we're going to do here, you're going to understand why you're going to get a lot more player buy-in. And finally, also an opportunity to discover Adventure Edition a bit more. You know, I worked on Wiseguys for 2 years, but I didn't really delve into the power system in Adventure Edition a whole lot because of that. And now it's an opportunity, hopefully, depending on what we come up with, for me to discover it a bit more, because having played a bit of Beasts and Barbarians and other games, I think we can all agree that the power system in Adventure Edition is pretty awesome with how the powers work and the modifiers and all that. So that'd be pretty cool.
I'm excited and a little scared. When you came at us with world building, which is a vast topic, and said show up with your favorite media, which is very, very small. This should be an interesting exercise in possibly failing on my behalf.
Yeah, I mean, it might not work. I did it before with another group years ago, and they were smarter than you guys, so it went well. But now I'm a bit nervous.
Most people are smarter than us, guys. All right, but that doesn't make them any stronger than me, and I will kill them. Understand that, listeners? Don't you even?
No, I mean, when I did that, it was a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun I've ever had playing RPGs without really playing RPGs, because it was just world building. It's also a good exercise if you don't know the other members of your group all that well, because you get to learn what they like. And so hopefully it works out. If not, well, it will be an exercise on how to fail. But yeah, you can decide after it if it's something for your group, because obviously that would take some time from a session 0 or maybe even a session -1 to do this. But the bigger the group, the longer it's going to take. But yeah, we'll get started right away. So yeah, what I asked the guys, the first step to this is to list your favorite media. And I mean by favorite, it could be just something that you really want to explore in an RPG. By media, I mean it could be a movie, TV show, book, comic book, video game. It could even extend to a song or a poem, but I don't know. Let's keep it cinematic at least. So I'm going to start with mine. Mine is BPRD and Hellboy. So BPRD is the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, and Hellboy is a member of that, but it extends to, Abe Sapien and Liz and a bunch of other characters too. And so what they do is that they investigate weird paranormal stuff going on in the world. It takes place in the real world, threats to people. It's like a government agency, but they're not supposed to exist. So PB&J. No, that's not my favorite media. But yeah, so, and they're superheroes, but not the Avengers type of superheroes. They're more street level, more gritty. I love the art style for the comic books. I like the movies quite a lot too. Even the latest one, the Hellboy movie, even though a lot of people don't like it, but I like the aesthetic of that setting. So yeah, that's the first part of it. I'll start with that. And then let's ask Harrison what his is.
I should preface this whole segment with the fact that I'm very tired. I've been at a con today, but I had a choice between two of my favorite medias, or at least ones I know a lot about. And Metal Gear Solid was up there, and also the British sitcom Only Fools and Horses. Do you guys know about that one?
Nope.
No, I didn't think you would. But so I'm going to go for Only Fools and Horses. I probably know more about that than I do anything else in the world. It's essentially about these two. It's a guy called Del Boy and his brother Rodney, and they basically sell stuff on markets, usually illegal stuff that they've found knocked off a truck, quote, or things like this. And it's about them trying to become rich via these endeavors. And their granddad lives with them in a council flat in Peckham.
So it's modern as well, right?
Yes.
There's nothing supernatural about it. It's just two
That's a good
thugs,
point. I know
basically.
you did talk. They're not thugs. They're actually very likable characters. But the thing about it is that I know you wanted to use the powers, but I'm afraid I'm going to go only fools and horses. But if we get a mix,
No, that's fine. No, it doesn't have to be. That's fine.
Wow, that sounded a little like you were upset a little bit there. No, that's fine.
That's fine.
No.
That's fine.
That's just the first step.
Want to be a loser?
It's just the first step. No, I'm just trying to understand what that show is about. That's all.
Yeah, so it's a sitcom, so it's like 20-minute episodes. And to give an example of a good episode, there's one where they play poker, or there's one where this is a good one. So they basically get told where a hole under a fence is in a fishing spot. Don't purchase any licenses, and they go to catch fish for a weekend in order to gain money by selling it to a fish and chip shop. Fairly certain that's the plot. And while they're there, there's so much rain they have to remain in the little cottage they're staying at, and it turns out there's an axe murderer on loose.
When was that? Was that the 90s, 2000, or something recent?
Yeah, 90s, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Weren't you like 3 in the 90s?
Yes, but the thing is, they released it on a thing called DVDs, Gary, and what I did was watch it much later.
DVDs. You're so low tech. I watched it on an old record player.
The sound was horrible.
All right. What about you, Gary?
Well, you're going to like this one, Lamoureux, because mine actually involves a little bit of the powers, I think. So I was thinking of the video game Borderlands. With the release of Borderlands 3, it's been sort of thrown in my feed. I've played all the Borderlands, and I really enjoy the world. I really love the way that the game looks, and I think it's cool. I love all the weapons that you can get, it's just basically mainly guns, but you do have certain skills and abilities and whatnot, but the one thing that I most enjoyed about it was the story that it tells as it progresses. It's kind of cool to see Jack show up every once in a while as the antagonist, and he's always like basically cursing you out and calling you an idiot and a loser, and then he just sort of disappears and you're left there. Although you've succeeded in your quest, you still haven't been able to one-up Jack. And anyways, we're going to go with that one. We're going to use Borderlands, the video game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I played the first one, and I really liked it. It was a really fun game. Now we're going to gather inspirations from these media sources. So this is basically a trope or a theme from your media, the aspect of it that you like the most. So for me, with BRPD, is all the tie-ins to historical, occult things, like in the comics a whole lot. There's Rasputin in there, which is a real historical figure. There are Nazis and their occult studies, looking for artifacts. So I think if I could choose one thing from that show, the comics or the movies that I really enjoy, I would say it's the occult investigation. So that will be my first inspiration for this. So occult inspiration. Now we can move on to Harrison. And what is the one thing, the trope or theme about Only Fools and Horses that you really like?
A lot of the comedy comes from the fact that they are very unintelligent, stupid, bumbling. And as a result, I'm going to say the comedy and how it's always like a sort of comedy of errors. And there's so much stupid stuff going on. And it's like they're trying to tie up this loose end and this loose end and this loose end to make a plan work. So I'm going to say bumbling idiots.
Okay. Bumbling idiots.
And comedy, yeah. That's it.
Cool. All right. You write that down, and I'll switch mine over here to I like that it's futuristic. Borderlands takes place on, there's different colonies, different worlds that you can travel to, spaceships. And then when, you're not on them, you have vehicles and whatnot that shoot rockets and that kind of a thing. So if we're going to set, a time period for the piece, that for me, that inspiration is actually kind of sweet. Bust away from the fantasy aspect of it, and let's throw in some cool high tech stuff that we can use to do some things, and robots, and you know what I mean, that kind of stuff, and still stick with the occult kind of a deal.
Well, you don't have to tie anything in at this point, so you don't have to worry about that. But so you would say advanced technology? Is that what you like?
Futuristic, advanced technology, travel, and stuff like that.
Advanced technology and bumbling idiots. What could go wrong with this?
Sounds like a present day for us.
All right. Now, because there's only 3 of us working on this, we can probably add a couple more just to help pad it a little bit. And these inspirations don't have to be according to the media. So it could be any other trope from, something else that you like. So let's think about something, another trope that we would like to explore maybe in an RPG.
Well, can we do apocalyptic? Not so much like zombies or any of that kind of thing, but let's say, many years post-apocalyptic, so you have smaller societies, even though there's space travel, maybe there's settlements or whatnot, but that sense of not being able to just sort of get whatever you want. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like everything's sort of old town, old school, or like low supplies kind of a thing.
Yeah, the genre will come in the next step, but how about isolated settlements?
Yeah, sure, works for me.
Trying to think of what I like.
Boobies.
I mean, that's a good trope, man.
Oh yeah, but
everybody's topless.
An aspect I like a lot.
Women have 3 jugs.
These are facts. This will come in step 5.
Yeah, the jugs are later, Gary.
We're just trying to gather inspirations right now. Let me look around.
That's what I was doing. All right, let me give you one. One of my favorite tropes and things that I like to read, I like Douglas Adams, Terry Pratchett, things like this. I like often subverting a genre while also being a good example of it. Is that good?
Like turning a trope or genre upside the head, basically.
Yeah, I guess so. Because if you look at like the Discworld novels and things like this, they're really, really good fantasy, but they're also sort of parodies of it and having fun with the genre. Like how the police force in it has like a zombie employee, a vampire, a golem, all in the name of like equality and things like this. And it's like, kind of flipping a genre.
Okay. Subverted genre. All right. And as for me, I will say I like Warhammer, and what I like about it is the everyday hero or next door neighbor hero type of thing.
Great one.
So I'll put next door hero.
The girl next door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as a recap for the gather inspirations, we've got occult investigation, bumbling idiots, advanced technology, isolated settlements, subverted genre, and next door hero.
I can see this is going to be awesome already.
So the next step, it's 2 steps really. The first one is to describe the genre. So we start with a kind of generic genre, and then after that we sort of describe it, give it a descriptor a little bit. Like I could say, like when I ran it, that thing, it was post-apocalyptic, eldritch post-apocalyptic. That was a descriptor for it. So it gives it more character than just simply being post-apocalyptic. And I know that Gary seems really zoned in on Borderlands there with post-apocalyptic, but how about we try to strip out all the genre from what we picked, all the inspirations, and come up with a genre that's really out of the box for this, that wouldn't be typical. Like maybe it would help if I named a few here. Let's see. So you got alternate history, fantasy, modern, romance, mystery, horror, sci-fi, or superhero. These are kind of really generic ones.
I know that you guys aren't quite as enthusiastic about comedy stuff as I am, but I'm sort of seeing it as being a horror comedy. But then that does tie in. It might be quite in the box as to what we've done. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm saying romance. I'm putting that. No, that's.
Let's do romance, romantic westerns. Yeah, we can scratch the post-apocalyptic and let's insert remoteness. So, it doesn't have to be post-apocalyptic, but let's say we just it takes place in and around, say, like a city like Lankmar. Well, I know Lankmar is like a vast universe, but it's just one city. Do you know what I mean? So, the
countryside town, and that's where the isolation comes from.
Isolated and remote, yeah. So
it could even be a sci-fi on a remote planet.
Right. How about we go that route? And there's some kind of unseen demons, or that will tie into your occult deal on this planet. So the gist is we're highfalutin science kind of guys with some futuristic tech. We don't have a lot of materials or things that we can bring with us. We've got our ship and some supplies. So the remoteness of building things or accessing gear or stuff like that. And we've set up a colony kind of a deal. And so we're an isolated colony settlement with demons and devils and shit that are popping up that we are unforeseen kind of a thing. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah, I like the sci-fi. Let's go with sci-fi genre for this. But now the descriptor. So, like in the example they give in the book, it's sword and sorcery, and they call it cosmopolitan because they want to keep it a lot about the city itself. But for us, I think we're going more for like a stranded colonist type of thing there. So what could be a good word to describe the type of sci-fi that we're doing there?
How about exploratory? I want to explore your caves, Eric.
Yeah, there's exploratory. There's maybe what was I gonna say?
Shabiba bubble. Did I get it right?
I'm gonna go for bureaucracy.
Yeah, corporate bureaucracy type of thing.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe that's a good way to, because maybe if the people have gone to this colony and these bad monsters and occult things are happening, but everything has to go through layers and layers of red tape, and as a result, it's private companies full of idiots that aren't actually real heroes. So I think it's something like that.
All right. So yeah, I like that. What do you think, Gary?
I'm easy. It sounds good to me. So anytime I want to get some bullets, I got to go through I got to pass a red tape check.
You got to go through. You got to go through Jen and HR to get your bullets.
Yeah, and she's full on by the rules. There is no getting around. There's no skirting the rules.
All right. So I've got three descriptor here that basically say the same thing, but I'm looking for some punchy. So I've got bureaucratic sci-fi, corporate sci-fi, or how about red tape sci-fi? That's
what I was thinking, because red tape describes something less favorable, less enjoyable. So I think that would be kind of cool. It would add this cool different mechanic to things, I guess.
All right, let's go with red tape. Step 5. Now that's the scale. So we're sci-fi. Is it going to take place on one planet only, or intergalactic, the whole universe? That's basically what the scale is. So we're going to focus on just adventuring onto one planet, or it could be even like just one continent or area of one planet. Really, it could be that small, or it could be, every new adventure is on a different planet too. What do you think would be best?
I think it would be cool if it all took place in one room.
in a small cardboard box outside the ship in our imaginations. I agree. I think anytime you want to start doing a thing, start small and build out. That's pretty much the general consensus, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's better.
One small colony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So one colony planet. All right, this is going pretty well, going fast. We got only basically one more step here before we end this, and we're going to do the rest next episode. But this might be the most daunting step of all. This is the establish facts. So how this works is that every one of us has two virtual bennies that they can put in the middle to answer a question, and we just go in turn and ask each other questions. Now, these are loaded questions because we're trying to establish facts, but we have to use a minimum of 2 inspirations from each question. So I'm going to give an example because it's difficult to wrap your head around it. But in the book, in that little document here, the inspirations that they gather is heroic heists, gritty urban adventures, cosmopolitan cultural diversity, subtle and hidden magic, swords, and organized crime.
I like swords.
Okay, so they use these to ask the following question for establishing the fact. Like one of the players asks why the nobility have so much power. And that would be using one of the inspirations, which one that would be, like the cosmopolitan cultural diversity type of thing. It takes place in a city, so obviously there's some nobility, but it's kind of a loaded questions because she wants to know who has the power. And Lenny answers while he pays a token and suggests that they control the guild of swordsmiths. So when you answer, you can name things. You can name people. You can name organizations. You can name companies. This is where you establish facts for it. Another one would be Lenny asked what ethnic groups are camped outside the city, which goes with the cosmopolitan inspiration. And Lily names them as the Benari and the Narnu. So there's 3 of us. Each get 2 facts. So we're going to establish them. Let me think. I'm going to kick this one off. Maybe that's going to help you guys out a little bit. If not, you can read, that would be page 11 in that document. So looking at the inspirations here would be, all right, I'm going to go with this, and I'm going to, well, any of you can answer this, and we can elaborate on that answer too. It's just that the one who paid the Benny gets the final say on what that fact actually is. We can ad lib on it and all that. So I'm going to ask, what piece of technology went wrong and caused a decline in IQ from the population of planet
Mongo.
Marmon.
Okay.
Wow, I thought you said you were going to say that word anymore. Oh my god.
I said Mongo, it's a planet from Flash Gordon. So check and mate.
Yeah, we can't use Mongo.
Yeah, I know. So what piece of technology went wrong? I will say breathing apparatus for when people ventured outside the colony and the real heroes all choked to death. Not choked, suffocated.
Okay, so one fact would be that breathing
it's the breathing apparatus is
malfunctioned,
Yes,
and
it's prone to malfunctions. Now that kind of hamstrings the whole game, though, doesn't it? Because then venturing out is going to be difficult.
well, it could be that at one point it did that and kind of introduced the mutagene in the colonists and caused a decline in
How about
IQ.
How about this? On the ship ride, the ship taxi that we took to get here, the breathing apparatus or the air conditioning unit, not the air conditioner, but the rebreathing system for the ship that recirculates all of the oxygen, got infected with something, and it damaged everybody's brain and made us all Harrison smart.
We call it Gary Smart, really, but
got infected by a space bacteria that caused mutation. Okay, yeah, let's go with that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's way better.
Malfunction and got infected.
Oh, can I add something?
Yeah.
And it was because I think because the air conditioning and all this was malfunction and caused this horrible accident. That's why all of the bureaucracy came into play, because everything now had to be written down on a spreadsheet. So because people wanted to make sure that things were going well constantly,
so it wouldn't happen again. This is starting to remind me of the movie Idiocracy.
It's like we're just a bunch of dummies that were floating through space. We're all scientists at one point. We got infected with this bacteria on the way to the planet that we're at. We became stupid, or less intelligent. We crash landed. Now we can't figure out how to get the rocket off this planet, and so we just decided to set up shop here. Nice.
All right, so we got one fact, and we kind of all answered it, and I guess it doesn't matter who claimed that one, but one of you now will have to ask a question to us and use these inspirations. You know what? Let me take like 2 minutes to type these in on the sheet there. Oh, no, you wrote them down. Okay, cool. Thank you. That way you guys can look at the inspiration, use 2 of them to formulate a question, a kind of loaded question, and then we'll answer it.
Right.
But I mean, you see which ones I used for my questions, right? I used bumbling idiots and futuristic technology.
Okay.
Oh man, that's difficult.
So this is we're asking questions based on what happened about that.
No, you're asking questions based on the inspirations in step 2. You're picking 2 of them, you formulate a question, and it's kind of a loaded question, and one of us has to answer it. It doesn't have to tie in with what we got already.
Okay.
So here's something like what? Go on.
I was going to say, here's my question. So we've landed on this planet. We're all a little mentally damaged. In this isolated settlement that we're at, how do we achieve, or how do the unseen heroes come about? Do we land on the planet and something happens to them that empowers them? Or how do we get the unseen heroes in such an isolated area if everybody's been affected by this mutagen?
In a terrible, terrible move, people were assigned jobs randomly, and it ended up with a bunch of unskilled fools becoming the anti-occult hero.
the
like
janitor.
a random spreadsheet.
Yeah, the janitors. They just give the janitor a gun and say, "Go do this thing." No problem, boss.
Oh, are we writing the prequel to Aliens versus Rednecks here?
I think we might be.
All right, I like that. So, okay. So the fact would be a lottery determined, how would I call that? Social status or professions?
Yeah, professions. A lottery determined it. And now, there's the agency called the Bureau of Anti-Occultism. So it's BOW.
What does that have to do with anti-occult?
What? The profession, that's one of the things, because we were talking about those monsters on the planet, right?
Yeah. All right. So we got the second fact. A lottery determined professional role. So now I guess it would be your turn now, Harrison. Ask a question.
Okay. The what did the really gigantic monster do to really goof up things for the colony, and what was its name?
Okay. So there's a giant monster on the planet. What did I call it?
Marmon.
Marmon. And his name is Gombo, and Gombo is eating all the fungus and creating a famine on planet Mambo.
Marmon.
Wait, what was the I lost track for a second there. Was the monster's name was Gumbo?
Yes.
Gumbo. Okay.
Gombo.
So it's an occult game, like, you know, based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, who made Cthulhu and all of these.
Well,
horrible-
we haven't used occult investigation yet, so we'll
So
have
a
to
monster
use it
so
at
a
some
monster
point.
called Gombo came in and started eating all the fungus. It's so good. Oh, God, it's such a good name for a monster. Hey, it's me, Gombo. Say
He's
goodbye
a-
to your mushrooms, bitch.
Well, he's like a kaiju type of monster, you know, like Godzilla. Like, you know what? A bunch of explorers. They were exploring the planet and found these runes, and in these runes there were sigils on the rocks, and despite being stupid, they sort of triggered them, and it brought the existence of Gombo. And Gombo, what he does is that he just goes and he eats all the fungus. He's really hungry. He's like the Gombo, the eternal hungry god.
Well, how about he's like a giant turtle or like a Tarrasque or something like that comes to life or something like that and just sort of slowly makes his way across the land, devouring everything.
Yes. Okay.
Gombo.
Gombo, the eternal hunger.
He takes like trees and bushes and shrubs and berries and people and fish and animals, and he makes a gumbo soup. That's where the name came from.
Was awakened and is sweeping across the planet, devouring everything.
Yes, before he returns to his 100-year slumber. That gives it like 100 years to recuperate. So if we don't stop Gombo from making his gumbo, it could be
Could be bad.
could be bad for us.
Right,
The people of planet Marmon now have a saying: "Is Gombo come? You gonabo."
And no, they have their saying is no gumbo for Gombo.
all right. My question. So, what piece of fallen technology is used to uncover secrets about gods on Marmon?
It turns out that all the gods are infrared, or some sort of signal that can only be read by a specific machine that is powered by something.
Unobtainium.
Some sort of like rare ore that can only be found on the planet. But because you named Gombo, I'm going to come up with a name for the ore, and it's called Krungusite.
All right. So, a Krungusite powered infrared reader.
Well, let's leave out the infrared. That's too specific, and it throws people off. So let's pretend it's like ghost rock.
But it's like a signal that our brains aren't able to detect. So we could call it God signal or ghost signal.
And you use that to what? To communicate with the sleeping gods?
Yes, and ask them for power.
Is used to communicate.
I want the power of no more IBS.
You're never going to get it, Gary.
Yeah, come on. Jeez.
With sleeping gods. All right. So we're at what, 4 facts now? We need 2 more. Harrison, ask your question.
Okay. One time, There was a time when somebody was out using the sensor machine, and it awoke something dark and terrible. No, we've already got Gombo.
It was Gumbo. He's pretty bad already.
That was Gombo. All right. Let me think. All right, go, Gary. You do yours first.
Sorry, I was typing there. All right, so there's a special kind of rock or ore that we have to. Yeah, okay, and it's called crongasite. Sounds like a friggin' infection, but this crongasite, it's exceptionally rare. So it's did it come from like sort of outer space kind of a thing where it's like a singular meteor, so we have a limited resource of this, or is it really hard to mine and requires like a certain thing to extract this crongasite?
So your question is basically, where do you mine crongasite?
Where does it come from is my question.
I really like the idea that you sort of hinted at there, where a meteor was flying towards the planet and split up, and maybe just to add an extra little layer of horror, crongasite is it was a big fleshy meteor.
Maybe that's the reason that crongasite, maybe that's the reason why we can use it to see these unseen gods, is whatever kind of weird stuff that it is, it attracts these like spiritual creatures to it that allows us to see them. Maybe that's how it kind of works. So when we take some of this rock and we put it into these machines and studied it, we figured out that we could use it to know the location of these things. That's it. So
this would be a meteor that crashed on Marmon or another planet nearby, or it just suspended. It's on Marmon.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. Like Harrison said, because it exploded in the upper atmosphere, there's deposits of it around the area. So that means that, that we can go find in different areas. There's different creatures that are being attracted to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like all the brave adventurers have to venture out and go and get it and deal with the exotic wildlife of Marmon, like they do.
Right. So a meteor crashed on Marmon, and crongasite is extracted from it. All right, Gary, the last fact.
Oh
no, you just did it right.
Yeah.
I think we got them all. Do we?
We need one more from Harrison.
We need one more. Okay.
Yeah. So the last one. Let me ask you this, huh? Okay, because I'm ready. You don't think I'm ready, do you? But I am with my question.
Doesn't sound like you're ready.
Yes. Why? No, we've already gone through that. No, never mind. I think we'll just leave it there. This is awful.
Put on your creative juices, man. Where's your flow? Get your stuff happening here.
Okay. Why do the people who go out and quest in the wild have to not wear shoes?
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, careful there.
Because shoes is a sign of disrespect to the older gods.
The material that shoes are made of, whatever kind of material that we based them out of, some kind of plastics or the rubber or something like that, dissolves easily in the atmosphere. And because we're not smart, we haven't been able to figure out a way to cover our feet with with some kind of new material.
You know what? Maybe this one isn't working, but how about this? I'm going to change it. So why do when people venture out of the colony, they have to wear special shoes? Yeah, how about that?
All right.
And what do the shoes do?
So
the easy answer would be gravity, but we got to find something better than that.
Mm-hmm.
So these special shoes that people have to wear. Okay. So what would they be made of? Would they be like? Are they resistant to a thing? Or do they allow you to do a thing? Or maybe this is the deal. You have to wear special shoes because of parasites in the ground will get inside your body. So you have to have a special shoe. If your shoes ever come off, you're done. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Maybe some of the parasites infect your brain and as like a sort of way to sort of propagate their species and get their evening meal, what they do is they infect the brain of some people and make them like go and take people's shoes off.
Or
Maybe this is bad.
it could be a zombie thing, but it could be just that the parasite cause nightmares.
Yeah, I think we'll leave this one out, eh?
That one's
I thought that was.
that one's not easy.
No.
Why do we
That's a
need
stupid question?
right? You, Harrison.
Shoot.
No, it could be something as simple as gravity, like you said, or it could be that the whole planet's covered in snow, so you have to wear those rackets on your shoes.
So let's look at the inspirations, because have we really used the subverted genre inspiration and the next door hero inspiration much?
The lottery for the heroes, that kind of does the next door thing, because it could be their previous job on Earth. They were just a janitor,
right? But that's one.
Right.
We've used the technology quite a bit, and obviously the bumbling idiots have been used quite a bit.
As for subverting the genre, I don't think we have.
No,
I think we've just made a sci-fi game. We've done a mistake.
So, ask yourself what kind of question you could ask that would indicate that it's. I mean, okay, sci-fi is futuristic. Could it be that it's actually happened in the past? I don't know. Would that subvert the genre? No.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my question to you then is why? What is the most common screw up around the people that go out to find Krongosite?
Most common screw up. They forget to wear shoes.
They're so dumb they don't know how to get back to the whatchamacallit, to the ship, to the village.
We scrapped the shoe thing. Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that they constantly get lost while they're out there?
Yes.
Okay,
that doesn't really subvert a genre, but let's just say that navigation on the planet, because of its rotation or electromagnetic, we haven't figured out a technology that allows us, like a GPS or a guidance system to get back.
And it could be that a lot of landmarks are actually alive and move constantly. So when you're out there exploring, you think, "Oh, we'll come back. We'll just go past that rock. Hey, where's the rock gone?"
Okay, so it's funny. I like it, but in practice, do you think that creating adventures where people would just get lost would be fun? Would they just get lost forever in space, or they would end up somewhere else?
It's a very good point.
Yep.
I just thought it was funny imagining a team going out there getting lost, then a rescue team getting sent out, they get lost, then another one. That could even be why the unseen heroes are involved, because they sent their A team, they got lost, their B team went out, the C team, and now we're down to the Z.
How about we introduce another species in there? There are aliens, an alien species that. Okay, there's this order of aliens that are protecting Marmon from us stupid humans, from resurrecting the old gods, and they know that we need Krongosite for that. So they're actually defending the ore, Krongosite ore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the more we disturb it, the more likely we are to wake up the old gods, because some of them aren't exactly nice.
And so this alien race is actually like highly advanced scientific race of like robots, like the Kalon in inside the Orville. There's and so these guys, these Kylon, or I think that's what they're called, Kalons. So the Kalons are these group of robot people that were created by humans that destroyed the humans, and then basically made this super advanced, technologically advanced robot race. They all communicate with one another, that kind of a thing. And so the gist is that we're here to bring back some of the gods, because it'll be like a fight between like religion and science. So if we can bring back the gods, we can fend off the evil Kylons or Kalons who are trying to take over the universe, and that's why we originally came here to begin with.
Let's start with a name.
If we're going to try to subvert the genre, and I have got a name. I like Gary's idea a hell of a lot, but what if the other the robots that are left on the planet, the ones that are trying to protect it, right? They were originally
on our ship. What if they were on our ship and they escaped?
I was thinking more like they were the remnants of a dead civilization there. So all that's left is like their helper robots. And so you get like coffee machines, vending machines.
No vendo. No vendo.
That's what I was thinking.
No.
Yeah, no, it's happening, man. So the race is trying to stop us from getting the special rock Krongasite, right? They're vendoids.
Okay. The vendoids.
How about they are a fluidic race of shapeshifters?
No.
You wanted a jelly one.
All right. So the vendoids are the protectors of Krongasite.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they need Krongasite. It's like their fuel.
Yeah,
so they guard. Yeah.
That's awesome. And all of us humans were getting attacked constantly by frozen chickens being vended over our walls.
I knew this wasn't going to be all that serious, but I think it's got a lot of adventure possibilities in there. I think it's good.
The chickens that are flying over the wall come from like a rotisserie vending machine. So they're actually like rotisserie chickens from like, your local supermarket. You could buy them for $5 or $6 and the machine's gone rogue.
Can you imagine the horror of getting slapped with a really hot, greasy chicken right in the face? Oh, ow.
Get beat up by a dishwasher. All right. So
it would be terrible at sneak rolls.
So the facts. So, breathing apparatus malfunction and got infected by a bacteria that caused intelligence to deteriorate.
Yes, and also
humans.
That's how, because of that lowered IQ, is how we let the vendoids go by accident.
Yeah, they were the staff on the ship,
and now they're smarter than us.
Yes, because they were programmed to be smart. But yeah, okay.
Could also be the reason we ended up on Marmon. Maybe it was only a mission to get to our moon, right? And we overshot it so wildly that we ended up in a different galaxy.
Yeah. All right. The second fact: a lottery determined profession roles.
There's nobody can decide on how to do it.
Number 3, Gumbo, the eternal hunger, was awakened and is sweeping the planet Marmon, devouring everything. Okay. Next one, a Krongasite-powered infrared reader is used to communicate with sleeping gods. Fifth one, a meteor crashed on Marmon and Krongasite is extracted from it. And the final ones, the vendoids are the protectors of Krongasite. So these are these are facts. Now,
what would be really cool is if let's say when this becomes like an award-winning hit, right? What happens is at the end, the vendoids and the humans, they realize that Gumbo is coming and they need to team up in the end. And they've been fighting all this time. And suddenly, the humans are riding on the back of dishwashers into combat. Charge, Awesome. Sorry, I'm really trying not to swear. I'm going to bleep that.
It's epic. So step number 6, and that'll be the final one for this episode. There's still 7, 8, 9, and 10 to flesh out the setting more. But number 6 is the title. So we've got the genre descriptor, and it's red tape sci-fi. But we need the first part of this this title. The end of the title is red tape sci-fi, but we need to come up with a title. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave it up to our listeners to suggest a title.
Oh God! Okay. This ought to be interesting.
Eric, they're going to be so rubbish. You know what our listeners
I know.
Whenever we've done competitions, they're the guff that they spill out of their mouths. I don't even know how they. You know what? They should be on this planet.
I know, but look at our facts. It's like,
That's a very good point. I don't think we've done any better.
that's pretty rubbish. So, but yeah, I mean, if none of them are good or that we like, we can pick our own. That's fine. But I want to get the listeners involved in that. So the title will be blank red tape sci-fi. So you need to come up with something cool.
And just to let you know, listeners, when Eric says blank, that means you get rid of that word and you put your own ones in, all right? Now, get out your crayons. Let's see if you can do it.
Bubbling idiots. All right, so let's wrap this up.
Where's Gary gone? Gary's just walked off.
Oh, did he?
I know the podcast is boring, but what's wrong with him?
So, before we sign off, I just want to plug one of the shows from the network, Finding the Narrative. It's a Genesis podcast. These are our good buddies. We just met them 2 weeks ago, played in their games. Was a lot of fun. They know the system quite well. So if you're curious about Genesis, go check them out. How about some contact info, Harrison?
Yeah, I can cut you off a slice of that stuff. Email us at thewilddie@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, we YouTube, and the Wild Die podcast. We're also in the Nerds International group, so come onto that group if you want to mingle with us. And we're on Twitter at the Wild Die. But of course, we do have a Patreon, and so if you like what we do here, then go on there and donate. We do need it because a lot of people sort of left after I rejoined the show, which is quite depressing.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, thank you. So, this is Eric saying, bow to Gombo.
Damn it, I had a Gombo one as well. This is Harrison saying, I am Gombo, consumer of mushroom.
Gary?
Which one of you is using the Gombo one? Wow.
Oh, we both did.
Both did.
So, Gary, you need to say something about Gombo as your sign-off.
Oh, man. This is Gary saying no gumbo for Gombo. Keep your pants on. Keep it fun. Thanks, everybody. We're out. So at Con on the Cob, I played a round of Genesis with Tony Fanning as DM, and it was actually quite enjoyable. And after I had said that it was actually quite enjoyable because I'm such a Genesis hater, I promised Tony Fanning that I would actually say live somewhere that I enjoyed Genesis. There you go, Tony. You're a fantastic DM. You made the deplorable system of Genesis actually amazing. Thank you, sir. And now for the amazing Patreon jingle.
Oh yeah, it's that time again. Part of the show where we spread a special kind of love on our patrons. This sexy Patreon jingle is based on the nameless world we built in this episode. Here we go. Brian Kaiser, Alan Bray and Bubbles. Can I put some gumbo in your gombo? Conrad, Erasmus Neubert, Corey Judd, and Dan Brown. I hope you enjoy these jingles, you F's and C's and pieces of S's. Ooh. Daryl Cartier, Frank Turfler, and Gil Deschard Lewinstrad. I got a special ore in my pants. It's called Dongo Sight. Jan Yetmar, Jans Schonheim, and John Peterson. My huge chunk of Dongosite will take you to the spiritual place as well. Oh yeah. Carl Kiesler, Kevin Stanley, and Manuel Sands. We're on an isolated settlement. Who's got the sausage? Okay, the sausage jokes are getting old, I know. Mr. Stagg, Malguan Flick My Bick, and Patrick Greenlaw. My spacesuit has room for two. You want the front or the back? Impera Chalmers, Pure Mongrel, and Ray Asteria. I killed a Vendoid this morning. It was a condom dispenser. Let's not let this go to waste. Scott Marchand Davis, Sean Richer, and Stephen Dragonspawn. Greasy chicken to the face. My new sexy time maneuver. Interested? Sid the Squid, Zovia's RPG Maps, and Uncle J-Raz. I forgot what I was going to say with my limited IQ. Oh yeah, do you want to touch my Dong go sad. Ha ha ha. Rob Cowell, Matt Stock, and Andy Hall. A lowered space IQ wasn't the only disease I caught. Can I interest you in an infection? And lastly, Manuel Pabst. Check out my futuristic tech. I call it the Suckermatic 3000. Yes, I am pointing at my mouth. Thank you to all the Patreon members for allowing us to continue doing this show. We appreciate your patronage, and I hope you enjoy these special jingles. Much love.